Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Prof, and welcome to another episode of the 52 Qs podcast. And today we are broadcasting live with an open Q&A, AMA, Professor Dave's open office hours, where I'm just setting aside an hour for you to jump in the chat if you have any questions about the sync music industry, if you have questions about production music, if you have questions about, I don't know, anything else, you can let me know. You can type your comments there in the chat here on YouTube. Got a couple of folks hanging out with us already. What is good? Wolfgang, Mad About Nothing, Nigel, they are here and we are ready to do it. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm so glad you found me. However you found me. 52 Qs community is a community of like-minded composers all coming together, crawling out of our studio holes and coming together and talking about all things production and library music. And this podcast comes out every single week with topics to help you grow as a composer. And 52 Qs is there to help with live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, pitching to real music libraries, and a ton more. If you want to join us at 52 Qs, you can head over to 52qs.com. And we would love to have you. Subscription tiers start around $4 a month, and it's free to join. In fact, there's the end of the music. It will always be free to join 52 Qs. And I can't wait to tell you guys, in just a few weeks, as we wrap up 2025, we've got some amazing plans here in the community. And we're going to be shifting some things. We're going to be switching up some things. And so I can't wait to talk about it. At the end of the day, it's going to be things that for our community members who are not paid subscribers, you're going to find that you're going to get extra value just from joining us in the community. What is good, Eric? What is good, Yuka? It is so good to see you today. Let me see. Nigel says, so what a week so far. Decisions. Absinthe 6 or Zebra 3. I can't believe that Zebra 3, some 12 years later, was finally announced, and really looking forward to diving into the beta. And it's free if you have Zebra 2 and the Dark Zebra expansion, which I bought years and years ago. It's a free upgrade. So that's amazing, and they didn't have to do that. And I think it's discounted if you have Zebra 2. And I don't know, folks in the chat, did you get a discount if you have the Zebra Legacy? But Zebra 3, it looks like if Zebra and Serum kind of had a baby, that's what it would look like. In fact, I can go ahead. We can get it over here. I've got a session that I was working on deliverables and doing a final mix. But let's go ahead and get Zebra 3. I literally installed it today. I haven't even messed with it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is the beta, and here is the public beta collection. Let's see. Hey, Zebra went away. And so you can see it kind of has the same DNA as Zebra, but it's just a little juiced up a little bit. Yeah, that's interesting. This is the stuff that reminds me of Serum. And so I barely know what I'm doing with Zebra to begin with, let alone the successor. So that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to diving into that. Let's see, we've got some other folks that have joined us. Eric says, my stylish 52 Qs shirt arrived the other day. My wardrobe is complete. Oh, what kind did you get? Did you get the the countdown kind of what we don't have a name for this. This was the original logo, and I don't know if you ever like what's this logo about, but the idea of a turning calendar or a turning clock. And so you write, submit, forget, repeat, write, submit, forget, repeat. So it's a cycle. It's a continuous cycle. And so that's what that logo's about. Even though it often shows up, we have a different logo that's just 52 cues side by side. And huge shout out to Shannon for that, because she is the one who designed that. So that's cool. Let's see. Good to see you. Good to see you, Jesse. What is happening? Wolfgang asked, with 500 tracks, mainly tension cues, how much PRO royalties would be reasonable after about 3 years? I know it's a silly question, but could you give a rough estimate? Wolfgang, thank you so much for the question. And it really, really depends on where they end up. Unlike like sports cues or vocal cues that are getting like synced to ads, most tension music finds itself, in my experience, finds itself in like dating shows, cooking shows, finds itself in investigative kind of crime shows, true crime shows, and that kind of thing. And so they are typically unscripted or reality TV, which means that it's not getting, it's not network television air. And so I would say after 3 years with 500 cues, assuming that you're getting placement, I would imagine we're getting, a couple of $1,000, maybe a quarter, anywhere between $800 to $2,000 a quarter after 3 years. And that's just keeping on growing. There are up quarters and down quarters. I've had quarters as low as 41 cents and quarters as high as $23,000. So, and everything in between, and it is wildly inconsistent. So, but 500 tracks, that's a 3 years, 500 tracks. That's a good clip. That is a good clip. So, good to see you, Chaz. Good to see you, Simon. What is happening? And Zebra 3, back to Nigel's point. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I can't wait to dig into it, and I can't wait for Matt Bowdler at The Unfinished to to make some patches that I can use to make some patches. Let's see, any other questions? Jesse says, I got Serum 2, and I'm sad to say I haven't even played with it yet. Yeah, Serum 2, in fact, is this cue here today? Yeah, this is a cue I was working on with my Full Sail students today, and I busted out some Serum 2 patches here. Using some of the unfinished cues, unfinished patches, which are Serum 1 patches. Did I get any actual Serum 2? Let's see. All right, yeah, this one here is an actual Serum 2 patch. So it's that little sound right there. That's a Serum 2 patch. Let me turn off that. Yep, more factory Serum 2 patches. Yeah, I like this patch a lot. Layered with an alchemy patch. Yeah, I wanted to show the students kind of a blend of like Serum and Omnisphere. And so anyway, that's a cue. That's a cue I was working on just earlier today. All right, let's see, who else do we have? Good to see you. Good to see you, Ms. Juju Beats. Never heard of it. I'm Zebra 3, maybe. Haven't heard of Zebra 3. And yeah, it's made by Uhe or Uhe, u-he.com. And it's a synth It's really, really complex synth. It's a little bit beyond my brain. So that's okay, man. That's okay. Let's see. Ms. Jujubeats asks, what's Zebra's superpower? It's a modular type of a synth. And so for synth brains, you can do a lot of routing and take the signal and modulate it and then bring it back. Again, it's beyond me, but it's what really kind of put it on the map for me was Hans Zimmer's usage of it during the Batman soundtracks. And in fact, I believe Yuhi made a custom Zebra edition just for Mr. Zimmer. And they called it Zebra HZ, later called Dark Zebra. I think those are the same thing. And that's what kind of turned me onto it. And what Matt Bowdler does over at the Unfinished with those patches are really, really good. But it's not like a sampler. It's not a granular synth. It's a modular synth. Yeah, Nigel, I agree. Matt has a ton of work to do. A ton of work to do with Zebra 3 coming out, and with Serum 2 out, and with Omnisphere 3 out. Now, what I didn't know that Zebra 2 and HZ patches won't work in Zebra 3. That's interesting. I had not heard of that. I haven't dug in. I literally loaded it up today. Another thing I loaded up today was I am working on some indie pop, and I was watching some tutorials, some YouTube tutorials, because I watch YouTube tutorials as well as you guys, and I found Ink Audio. In fact, now this is just a sketch, but the Ink Steel. It's a pedal steel library that sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds amazing. And so I went over to ink-audio.com. I'll pull that up. So I went over to ink-audio.com and I was like, okay, how much is it? And the Ink Steel is $50. It's on sale, I guess, for like Black Friday and all of that stuff. And I see that they have a coupon a coupon, 15% off. I'm like, okay, does that stack? I don't know. And then I was like, oh my gosh, everything we've ever made, this audio collection with all of these libraries, like 50 of them, 100 gigs for $129, and it stacked with the coupon. So it was like $110 for 50 of these contact instruments that do require the full edition of contact. I don't know who Ink Audio is. I literally saw somebody in a YouTube tutorial use the slide guitar, the pedal steel guitar, and it sounds absolutely amazing. And so here it is. Again, this is just a sketch, but that sounds so flippin' good. It sounds so amazing. By the way, Wolfgang says, okay, thanks for your assessment. They're all in a BMG library, so you might be surprised to learn that I received $50K in PRO royalties in 2025. You must be Eric's, Wolfgang. Awesome. Really good to see you, man. Really good to meet you, and glad you joined. You should come over, join us over in the community if you're not there already, man. We'd love to have you. And maybe, I don't know, man, maybe if you want to be on the podcast, I'd love to talk to somebody who's pulling down 5 figures consistently. But this Ink Audio is so good. And here's what's really interesting about this. And what made it an instant buy is you use the pitch bend to bend the notes. And you're like, okay, that's no big deal. But it's only bending one note. That sounds so good. I mean, that's a 4/3 suspension. And so you put the library or the instrument in the key. So I'm in the key of G, and it has a 1 chord, a minor 2 chord, a 1 chord in first inversion, 4 chord, 5 chord, the 6 chord, and then the 5 chord in first inversion, and then 1, which plays super nicely with my kind of cheater way that I play open D tuning. Is that? No, here it is. Which is kind of 1. Let me actually. I didn't plan on playing the acoustic today, but in open D tuning, you can get all these similar types of sound. Just by having the guitar in open D tuning. And so it works so well with the acoustic, and you can change the chord sets. And I promise you, I'm not shilling for this. I paid my actual real life money to get this, but they have different chord sets. I'm changing chord sets here. Here, the different notes are pitched up or respond to the pitch bend. And then you have singles. Oh, not yet. And then, like I said, you've got single notes. It's just so good, man. It is so flipping good, and I'm happy. I'm happy to grab that, and I'm gonna put it. I'm already putting it to use in a cue. Indie pop that's kind of leaning towards folk. All right, let's see. Let me back up to catch some of the chat. Let's see. All right. Superblonde.org asks, question 1, in terms of scales and sonorities, the content of cues which are placed is biased towards modally bright modes. Therefore, 80/20 rules suggest only writing bright cues, true or false. I don't know, man. Talking to a couple of folks, we had our interview with Farnell Newton. We had our recent interview with Scott Reinwand. And they seem to imply that kind of upbeat cues will always, whether they're happy clappy, jangly ukulele, this stuff that I'm writing is kind of upbeat. And so I think upbeat type cues have a broader placement ability, whether it's ads, whether it's reveal moments in shows, whether it's, cooking, type shows or whatever. But I think tension cues and dramedy cues also get used a ton, but tension cues aren't going to show up in like a cell phone ad, right? But happy clappy cues will. You know what I'm saying? So 80/20, I don't know. I say just write kind of what you're feeling and write where your superpower is. And maybe that will help. Yeah, I hope that helps. And if you have any follow up, I'm happy to help with that. Let's see. Chaz Vox 2 says, any knowledge of Crafter by Sound Theory? Oh, hey Charles, what's happening? No, I'm not familiar with Crafter. Not sure. Let's see. Crafter. It's a wave shaper. Just looking at it here. Not sure. Increase your power while preserving the original integrity of its dynamics. No, I'm afraid I don't know anything about this. Yeah. Sorry about that, Charles. Let's see. Dominic says a new curious case coming out. Not sure what we're talking about there. Nigel says Synapse Audio did the same thing and released a Hans Zimmer version of The Legend. Very cool. Not very, very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check on whether or not those are backwards compatible or not. Yeah, Wolfgang. Very, very cool. And congratulations. That's killer, man. Making 50K a year. That's, I mean, dude, that's a job. Nigel says, sadly, anything that requires full contact is a hard no for me these days, as NI and I have decided to see other instruments for a while. Well, the good news is all of that Ink Audio stuff runs on like Contact 5 and 6. So that's cool. That's cool. Chris says that ink steel guitar was my secret weapon. Have you, Chris, did you already tell me about that? And I just kind of flaked on it. Yeah, it's $50, which is crazy cheap, or like 110 for literally everything they make. And you know, last year I resisted the pull of the Black Friday sales. I didn't buy anything last year during Black Friday, but this year the universe, I guess, just wanted to get caught up with me because, or karma or whatever, because I bought not shameful, but I between buying a jazz bass and buying like Omnisphere 3, of course that wasn't Black Friday, but some other plugins, and I got a ton of Addictive Drums. I've got a ton of Superior Drummers because all that stuff is like 40 to 45% off, and so all those libraries, yeah. So I filled out my hard drive. I literally have less than 300 gigabytes on all of my hard drives, and I have quite a few hard drives. If you want to kind of look over here, these are my hard drive bays, and I do have 2 open slots, but these are my hard drives. I've got one that is my backup. I've got 2 that are rated together for samples. I've got another one that's samples, and then I have 2 which are client work. And so I've got 2 bays open, and I'm going to get some SSDs and plug them in there because I only have like 300 gigabytes left. And so that'll be interesting when I fill those up, and I don't know what I'm going to do. By the way, this bay is the Black Magic Thunderbolt or Thunderdock multi-dock. There it is, Thunderbolt multi-dock, which I got turned on to by Christian Henson. And so he talked about it in one of his videos, and they are chainable. So even though they're on old Thunderbolt 2, I can daisy chain them. So this guy is going into this guy, which is going into my monitor because it's also working as a monitor, plug and ascend. And so that's those are my hard drives. And when I got the first one, it was like $500 just for the dock. And I'm like, that is painful to pay for. But now that Thunderbolt 2 is getting older and older, I got a used one on eBay for like $200. It was some eBay seller that was like selling old church gear. So it was very well taken care of. It was a smoke-free environment. And so it works great. And I've got 2 open slots. I'm going to put 4 or two 4 gigabyte or 4 terabyte hard drives in there, which will expand it another 8 terabytes. And then I don't know what I'm going to do if I run out of space at that point. But yes, very cool. All right. Let's see anybody else in the chat. Jesse says, I'm going to put my dad's guitar into DADGAD. I've heard a lot of things about DADGAD. I haven't played around with it. Don't a lot of like Celtic, Irish, like jigs, aren't they in DADGAD tuning quite a bit? I think so. Let's see. Nigel says, did I see all the Sound Toys are giving away 6 plugins between now and just before Christmas? Oh, no, I didn't. Let's go to Sound Toys and see what we can get. Because I've had my eye, is it on like Echo Boy or Decapitator? Is that Sound Toys? Is that one of them? Let's see. Let's get free plugins. 12 days of plugins. December 8th. Did I miss one? What is today's plugins? Is Echo Boy Jr. Every 2 days. All right, so that's interesting. That's very cool, and it looks like it's just kind of free. That's awesome. Very good. Very good. Thanks for. We should have had a thread, to be honest. We should have opened up a thread. I could have done a whole podcast episode on all the Black Friday deals. Checking that out. Let's see. Super Blonde asks, question 2, physically smallest yet still legit powered studio monitors. Price is not a consideration. To be honest, I'm not sure I'm the best judge of that, even though the Yamaha... let me back up. The reason I'm not the best judge of it is studio monitors are honestly kind of low on my priority list. I would rather buy, a bass and guitars and all of that because I do so much work in headphones anyway, and I'm so used to working in headphones. And so I just have like some JBLs, but the Yamaha, is it the Yamaha M5? Is that the ones that the HS5? Those are the ones that I've never heard a bad thing said about them. The HS5s. Yep. So if I were to replace my JBLs, then that's what I would get. I like the 5-inch speaker. And I also have a subwoofer as well, but I do so little out in the open air. And I know, but I can trust my headphones. I feel like I can't always trust my room. And maybe I need to get Sound ID reference. Maybe I need to, actually tune the room and get it properly treated. But to be honest, there's so much stuff in the room now. I don't have to really worry about flat surfaces and reflections, between drum sets and guitars and curtains. And I do have some sound panels. Like there's a sound panel kind of right there. There's a couple of sound panels over here. If we go to my side view, you can see another one of my sound panels right there and right there. So I've got 2 sound panels here. And, but I'm so used to being in headphones that's what I do. Yep. And yeah, we have a couple of stowaways too. One is right there and the other one's right there. Oh, that's funny. During the family reunion this past year, and I'm actually drinking out of a family reunion mug. Family reunion is a Orlando local meetup of 52Q's family subscribers. It's open to just like under 14 people. They actually come to Orlando and we hang out and we talk shop and we grill burgers and wings and just kind of be together. And this past year, some of the guys, they came up in the studio and hid these little teeny tiny Star Wars bobbleheads. And I didn't see them. Well, I found Yoda, and Yoda was just sitting right there. You can't really see him because the camera's blurring it out, but Yoda was just chilling out. And then some 6 months later, I found Chewbacca. There was a Chewbacca one. And so that's great. And so now they are permanently in the back. And they are keeping an eye on my shoulder Dave, or my Dave custom Funko, which was given to me by some awesome members in the community. Shout out to Michael and Yuka, and shout out to Chris about leaving me some Star Wars baubles. Yeah, I love it, and you can actually see it like that. It's right there. If you know what you're looking for, that's a Yoda bobblehead, and so. Yeah. Charles says, don't spend money on new speakers after years of live performance. Just trust your instincts. That's what I'm doing. You know, folks who are in speakers going into headphones is a non-starter. And I'm kind of the opposite of that. I don't necessarily believe that it's, the devil or whatever. I think just like you learn your speakers, you learn your room, you learn your headphones, and you can go. Now, I have permanently switched from my Sony MDR 7506s, which if you watch some older videos, you'll see these guys, and these are closed backed, and they sound great, even though they I'm so used to the other ones now. And so I have permanently switched to the Sony MV1s that are open back. They cover the whole ear. They are super comfortable. They're super light. Like, this looks like plastic, but it's not. It's actually really light aluminum. And so this isn't plastic. It's aluminum. And they're open back. The only kind of pain in the butt thing is anytime I track live instruments, I have to switch headphones because the sound's going to bleed. Sound's going to bleed from these. So, yeah. Nigel says, Orlando sounds like it's getting dicey. What with planes landing on cars and all? I saw that, man. I saw that. And it wasn't only minor injuries, I think. That's insane that car lands. Let's see, plane lands on car, Florida. Let's see, where did that happen? Let me see it on I-95. Let me mute it here. This is what Nigel was talking about on I-95. Yep. Never Florida. Never stop Florida-ing Florida. And it's pretty insane. This looks like something out of GTA or something, man. And only minor injuries. Yep. I mean, maybe the pilot has IBS or something, Maybe it's like, oh man, we gotta put this bird down. Not to make light of IBS. It's a real thing. Shannon and I watch the Tosh Show podcast, and we're big fans of Daniel Tosh, and he talks about his irritable bowel. Let's see some other folks. Charles says, no, I'm sorry. Jesse ended up pre-ordering the Slate Digital open back headphones. I should get them in January. Let me know how those go. I kind of have a fundamental problem with using modeling headphones. The same reason I have a problem with modeling microphones. Maybe there's too much white in my beard, gray in my beard. I have a fundamental issue needing to run software to run hardware, especially like daily drivers like mics and headphones. And so I can see a future where, like, maybe the operating system or firmware updates or something's going to break or a plug-in. And I hate the idea of my headphones being out of commission because of software. Now, I know that they can do some amazing things, but if I'm going to drop like $500 on some headphones, I think I would rather get some really nice headphones, but some people swear by them. I just know that my MDR 7506s, which I paid $99 for some 15 years ago, maybe not that quite long, but 12 years ago. Yep, they're still alive and kicking. Yeah, I've swapped out the ear pads, twice already. But yeah, I can't say that tech from 12 years ago, would that still be working? I don't know. I've already bricked a Focusrite, a first gen 18, not 18i8, the 8i8, that I bricked it because of firmware, because of operating system clashes. And so yeah. But let me know how that goes, Jesse. I've heard amazing things about them. Nigel likes his AKG K240s. Sweet. Let's see, Pete. What's happening, Pete? Pete says, can you give an insight on how libraries operate, as in some may be more album-oriented and others composed specific to briefs for reality shows? Thanks as always. Well, great. Thanks for the question. Yeah, it does kind of differ. And interestingly enough, I just did an interview yesterday with Dave Milne, who is an executive producer and the director of production for Warner Chappell. That interview is going to air next year. And I asked him about the album versus like one-offs and that kind of things. And he said like he loves the idea of albums. And so if you're pitch an album. But it really depends, Pete, with each library. If a library has a specific brief that they're working on for a specific show, then the album is kind of a collection from different composers. It's an album, yes, but really kind of think of it more like a playlist, I guess. Whereas the way that I think about albums in a library is this isn't necessarily for a specific brief as much as it is, this is a collection of cues that we think have kind of all similar instrumentation, vibe, emotion, or whatever. And we are going to pitch this to different opportunities, whereas the briefs would be coming from the client. I work with a couple of libraries and who do shows on the regular, and it's like, well, it's time for Temptation Island season 8 or whatever, and here are all the playlists. So they're not putting an album together; they are just collecting cues that are going to go into an editor's bin. But they're not necessarily putting an album together. It's just a playlist that they're going to give to the library. Yep. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I would say that if they have working relationships with music soups and editors, then they're probably doing briefs that aren't albums. And if they are doing collections that are coming from internal, like coming in and going out, like the impetus to create is internal versus external, if that makes sense. Yep. All right. Jesse says instead of Florida man, it's Florida plane. Let's see. It was someone late for the 52 Qs family. Yeah, the plane, somebody flying in. Yep, probably from Switzerland or Spain or something like that. Charles has been happy with his Austrian Audio HI-X65 open back reference grade headphones. That's very cool. I haven't heard of those. Regarding the running software to run hardware, Jesse says, I understand, but he's been really happy with it. The VSX headphones. Yeah. Again, I've heard amazing things about those. Super Blonde bricked a Focusrite with bad firmware update. Will never buy another Focusrite. No hardware should ever brick itself. Very faulty design. I don't necessarily disagree, although I do love my 18i8. Yep, that's what I have. That's what I have over here. I've got just some little guitar pedal board that I created with an amp sim, a delay reverb, a compressor, and a tuner. And then above that is my 18i8, which is all wired in the back. I've got my two hard drive racks, and a little shelf where I keep my mixer, and that's what I do whenever I do live streams. What I'm doing right now, if I need to crossfade thing, I'm actually controlling that with a hardware mixer. Excellent. Pete, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Let's see. GLTG1 says, what's the difference between epic hip hop and non-epic hip hop? And why is there no epic dramedy or epic tension? That's a really, really good question. The difference between epic hip hop and non-epic hip hop is if you can strip away the hip hop elements and what you're left with is something that sounds a little bit more like an action cue or something from a Marvel movie with brass and string ostinatos, then it's epic, right? And, epic trailery type of a sound. Non-epic hip hop doesn't mean no strings. It just doesn't have that big ostinato, trailery, Marvel action type of sounds. But that's how I perceive it. And why is there no epic dramedy? That's a good question. What would happen if you swap out the pizzicato strings? I don't know. Pizzicato just doesn't really sound very epic to me. It sounds playful and quirky and intriguing. But epic tension, I think epic tension does exist, and they're called like trailers. Yeah, that is epic tension. Most trailer cues are epic tension cues. But yeah, epic, that's kind of a catch-all term to describe that sound with big cinematic toms and drums. Jesse says taiko. Yeah, those big and Brahms, sub drops and whooshes and impacts. That's what makes it epic. So you're sprinkling those epic elements in with hip hop. And so let me see if I can't show some epic hip hop that I've had some, like here's a cue I did with Craig Gilroy. And here's a cue, an epic rock cue that I did with Jeff Hargrove and Jeff LaPlante. Because we could epic anything. There's your orchestra. There's your epicness. You can have epic holiday music. And this cue's gotten love on the NFL, so that's cool. That's called Carol of the Crunk. So non-epic hip hop would be something like this. Here, it's more mellow. This cue is called All Dre, Every Dre. And so yeah, that's kind of the difference between epic hip hop and non-epic hip hop. But the idea of epic dramedy, yeah, I don't know. You should try writing one. Let's see. Jesse says that I've been very impressed with the audio quality of Apple AirPods Pros. I've heard some new elements in songs I know well. I got to tell you, man, Shannon and I picked up the AirPod Maxes, which I think are stupid expensive and overpriced, but it has the best noise canceling I have ever heard. And like you, Jesse, I'm hearing things that I've never heard before. It's like, yeah, we'll put on our headphones and then listen to like Rhythm of the Saints album, or Ten Summoners Tales, or, Love Supreme, and just listen to it in spatial audio, which kind of spreads out the stereo. And here's a bonus tip. If you are listening to jazz that was recorded, especially in the 50s, where it's in stereo, that's hard panned, and then put that in spatial audio, that is like actually being in the room where it happens. And it's interesting because, if you think about some of those old jazz records where like the drums are hard panned left and the bass is hard panned right, have you ever thought about why they're panned that way? If you haven't, think about it. Why would these jazz records, especially jazz records, do such crazy hard panning? Well, think about how most people were listening to music at the time. If you bought a new Miles Davis record on the Prestige days before Capitol, and you bought the record and brought it home, you were not listening to it in headphones. You were probably listening to it in a high fidelity stereo system with big speakers that created that environment of being in the room. And the reason things are hard panned is because I don't think they were intended to be listened to right ear, left ear. Because what really happens is, even though something might be hard panned left, if you're listening to it on speakers, your right ear will hear some of it. And it won't hear it as, hey, that's only in the left side. It's going to hear it on the cheated left or leaning left, but your right ear is going to hear it on a little bit of a delay. And that's what creates the sense of stereo space. And so these old jazz records knew that and counted on it. So you get this weird hard panned instrument thing. When listening to a hi-fi stereo system, they sound great. When listening to headphones, it's weird. But using something like the AirPods with spatial audio reintegrates the right and left channel, so that something that is hard panned left, you're going to hear it in the left, but some of it is going to get into the right ear the same way it would if the sound source was away from you. And it is a fantastic listening experience. Absolutely amazing experience. Very, very cool. Jesse says some things appear with more clarity. There's an acoustic guitar in Wish You Were Here by Incubus that I never even noticed. Yep. We heard backing vocals in Paul Simon's. We listened to Graceland, some things we had never heard. And we had heard that song a billion times. And we're hearing brand new things. Brand new things. Very, very cool. They're chatting about headphones there in the chat. What else? What else? We got a few more minutes here. We're just going for about another 10 minutes. But any other questions? Let me refresh over. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Headphone Talk. And I do like talking headphones. I just find the ones that I like and really, really, I'm ride or die. And the reason that I got these MV1s is they are in the same kind of family as the 7506s. And these essentially feel and sound like open back versions of the 7506s with Sound ID reference. Because the 7506s are very biased. They have very much of a smile type of a bias EQ on them with really boosted lows and boosted highs. But I would run Sound ID reference from SonarWorks to offset that. But I noticed that with the MV1s, they sound like the 7506s with the Sound ID engaged, even though I don't have the Sound ID engaged. And I even don't need to with these headphones. So I'm down with that. Nigel says, I think a lot of folks are missing out the listening experience these days. Yeah, I think you have to be deliberate with it. Music has become, kind of background music, like shopping music or elevator music. And now all music is that, because we have the totality of music history, like on our little glass and metal devices that we carry with them, which is staggering. It still blows my mind that practically any song I've ever heard of, I can probably find. But that also, I don't want to say that it devalues it, but it does make it a little more mundane. It mundanifies it. And I think that's what can get lost. And so Shannon and I have been keeping up a list of albums that we want to listen to, and like deliberately listen to them. Let me actually pull this up. And every time we're out and about and we're thinking, hey, we should listen to this. I can cross that one off. We've already listened to Graceland. We have The Wall by Pink Floyd. We have License to Ill, the Beastie Boys. Ornette Coleman, Rite of Spring. September, album by Kool and the Gang. Or is that the Commodores? September. Steve Reich, Music for 18 Musicians. Or is that Philip Glass? Rio from Duran Duran, the Finding Nemo soundtrack. Sgt. Pepper. These are albums that we know that we want to just sit down and listen to. Maybe with a beverage, maybe outside, with the fire pit going on. Yep. Yeah. Let's see. You're very welcome, as Juju Beats says thank you. Listening to music in AirPods like that helps inform me how to mix my music. And that's the thing. When you're working in headphones, or whether you're working, with speakers, if you know your gear and you know what a good mix sounds like, then you can just match your mix. And then using other tools like tonal balance control and, EQ matching, we've got a lot of tools in our arsenal that can get us there and overcome any kind of bias, whether it's headphones or speakers or bad room reflections and that kind of thing. To be honest, the reason that I'm hung up on room reflections, specifically for the walls and everything, is I don't want reflections to get back into the microphone, because I do podcasting, I do voiceover stuff, not as much anymore, but I'm doing Zoom calls. And if I'm recording, I don't want a bunch of reflections making my recording sound echoey. September's Earth, Wind and Fire. I was way off. What did I say? Kool and the Gang? And then the Commodores? Nope. Keep going, Dave. Chicago? Nope, not that. Not either. Jesse really likes the 7506s for vocal booth because it makes the track easier to hear. Yeah, I agree. I've been thinking about getting some larger close back over the ears. And so looking at the Bear Dynamic 770s, just like the maximum amount of noise bleed cancellation. But if I want to do that, then I can just use in-ears. That's the nuclear option there. Let's see. Nigel says I should add Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield. Should be on my listening list. All right, I'll add it to the list. Anybody else have any album suggestions for high fidelity? Let's see. What is it called? Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield. Go ahead and give me some suggestions. Some suggestions of records that I can put on my listening list. Charles recommends Symbiosis by Bill Evans. dig that. I'll add it to the list. Rumors. What artist is Rumors? I feel like I should know that, but yeah, we'll add it to the list. Let's see. Super Blonde says, in 2025, I noticed the volume of music played in grocery stores and shopping stores is way louder than ever. People literally dance in aisles of Trader Joe's. Consumer behavior manipulation. I don't know if it's that. I just think that that I wonder if less people are talking to each other now because we're on our devices, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know if it's a grand conspiracy to dumb down the populace. It might just be the manager just likes it loud. Oh, Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. My phone is auto-correcting Fleetwood Mac. Let's see, we've got Yummy by James. Tubular Bells? No. Should I? Nigel says, in our store where I'm working, I'm usually the only person that was alive when the music was first released. Bernstein plays Bernstein. Let's see. Hope by Klaatu. We'll add it to the list. Solid Air by John Martin. Appreciate that. You guys have given us some great stuff. Bernstein plays Brubeck. Of course, it's probably going to have to wait to the other side of Christmas because we are in full-on Christmas mode now. Full-on Christmas mode. Great suggestions. Thanks for the suggestions, folks. Okay. Jesse says the Tubular Bells from the Exorcist soundtrack. Are you guys trying to get me to Okay, I'm going to take Tubular Bells off the list. If it's on the Exorcist soundtrack, pass. Nope. I've never seen that movie. Will never see that movie. Not interested in ever seeing that movie. Excellent. We've got time for a couple of other questions. Let me pop over here into the community, see if any questions showed up. Just checking. Oh, not seeing any questions. By the way, speaking of open office hours, we're going to be doing this, once every few months, just an open Q&A, ask me anything, calling it open office hours. But next week in the community, we are having an open house. And that means that we are inviting the entire 52Qs community to everything that we do here at 52Qs, including if you go over to 52Qs after you log in. Let me get this out of the way. After you log in, you click on events and you can see all of these events that are available to all community members. You do have to join 52Qs to join us there, but we are having our weekly office hours where we meet via Zoom on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we're having a Q review and a Q&A with Farnell Newton of Marmoset Music. We had Farnell on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he is going to be listening to Qs submitted by the friends and family. Also on Tuesday, next Tuesday at 4 p.m., you are invited to sit into our feedback session, live feedback and critiques, where I will be offering real-time feedback of family member Qs. We have a little chat with Shannon on Wednesday. And then Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we are doing our cue review session, our demo derby style cue review session, where we're going to be listening to sync accelerator submissions for our political underscore brief. And then on Thursday, we have another feedback session at 4 o'clock. And then Friday morning, 7 a.m. Ooh, this is the wrong time. I need to edit this. It is not 4 p.m. It is 7 a.m. Let's go ahead and fix that. 7 to 9 a.m. You can join us for our music production live stream. And so that is all week. Next week, members of the community are invited to all of the Zoom sessions and all of the live streams that we do here in 52Qs, and we would love to have you. We would love to have you. Let's see, Charles asked a question about MIDI controllers. Sorry about that, Charles. What is my go-to MIDI controller, a la the one I see Christian Henson using? It looks like he's got one with only 3 sliders, which are assignable CC1 and 11. Yeah, Christian Henson is running. He's got a little controller that's just 3 sliders that he assigns to, I think, CC1, CC11, and CC7, which is volume, I believe. My go-to controller, I don't know if I would say like go-to if I had my druthers, but what I have going on here, just under my desk, is an Alesis Recital stage piano. I wanted something that was 88 keys, but also that wasn't piano weighted. And so this is a relatively inexpensive stage piano, like just a electric piano. The reason I like it is it doesn't have super heavy hammer action. It also has onboard sounds. So if I want to play it not connected to the DAW, I can play it. The sounds don't sound great. I'm never going to record the sounds. But that sits under my desk, and it is on a Z stand, just a keyboard stand that I can kind of manually slide in and out. It is very DIY. It's literally on a keyboard stand. The controller over here is an A25, a Complete Control A25. To be honest, I'm not super crazy about it. The action feels great. The mod wheel and the pitch bend feel really, really nice, but I never really went full in to the Complete Control ecosystem. I just didn't like it. And yeah, all of my other Native Instruments baggage, but I keep looking at replacing this with a 37 or a 32 key keyboard, like a mini key, because I keep this up here if I just need to tap on it, if I just need to, or key switches and that kind of thing. Some other MIDI controllers that I have I'm totally blanking on the name of this thing, Launchpad, that I use when I'm firing things with Ableton. I also have an MPD-18, and this is kind of set up like an MPC if I ever need that. And so those are what I keep kind of nearby, and I think that's super important, you know? I don't know where to put this. It's super important that whatever you have stays kind of plugged in, that is easily accessible, because I find that if I'm in the flow state and I need something super quick, then the last thing I want to do is start kind of wiring things, and it just slows me down. So I keep the guitar pedals here. If they're not here, they're right underneath the little storage area right here. I keep microphones. I don't know if I can keep microphones set up. They're just always there, and all I have to do is turn them on and turn them up. Same reason I keep guitars hanging on the wall is so that I can grab and go. And for me, not being a pianist, I don't want big, heavy weighted keys, which is why I love this this 88 key Alesis Recital. I mean, it really is a low budget piano, and if I were a pianist, I would hate it. But because I'm not, and I want more synth action than piano action, I think it's fantastic. Let's see. Some folks with some more with some more recommendations. Ms. Jujubee asks, so today's office hours is different than the one available on the family tier. What's the difference? That's a really good question. The weekly office hours are every Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern, and we all meet via Zoom. And in the office hours, it's very similar. I answer questions. A lot of times I am talking about what's going on in the community. Of course, with the family, we also have like briefing room briefs and library stuff all happening. And sometimes we just talk about topics that are relevant. It could be AI, it could be Black Friday sales, it could be challenges, it could be personal stuff, it could be life stuff. So these office hours are basically, instead of calling this a Q&A, it's what I used to call the Q&A here. Yep. So I hope that helps. Let's see. John Martin was an amazing musician. His final album, The Church with One Bell, is really good, and I was lucky enough to see him live. Cool, man. Super Blonde says, in 2025, I was terrible at music versus work balance, got very little music done. Work took all my energy. Not sure how I could have improved the balance or if it was possible. I was recently found myself in a very, very similar situation. And I guess I can go ahead and talk about it. As you know, 2 years ago, I accepted a position at Full Sail as a department chair in the music production program. I accepted it. Not because it was like a giant pay bump. It really wasn't. It was more responsibility, but I liked the idea of having, being a little further up to where I can have some input into some of the things that were happening in the school. But what I didn't anticipate was it really threw off my work composing balance. It really did. And the department chair gig, it's a full-time job, right? And it requires a lot of constant contact and constant, just being kind of hyper aware of everything that's going on in not just your department, but the other two departments at the university in the music production program. And so after Shannon and I got back from vacation in Georgia, if you remember from that podcast episode, we took stock, and I realized that, wow, my writing is down like 60% year over year. And so I had to ask myself, 5 years from now, do you want to be further up the Full Sail ladder, or do you want to be further along as a composer? And the truth is, I want to be further along as a composer. As much as I loved doing the department chair stuff, I really, really did. But it was getting a lot of bandwidth outside of just the 9 to 5. And so I had to release it, because that gig deserves somebody who is like all in on it. It deserves that. And I wasn't able to do it. Well, I was doing it, but I was finding, oh man, I've got to shift something. So my recommendation for you, Super Blonde, is to ask yourself, is there something that needs to shift? Is there something that you're doing that's not yours to do? And if so, maybe release that. And that's okay. That's okay. It was bittersweet stepping down as department chair. And I think just this week, it has become official. And they've got a new department chair in the music production program, and he is amazing. He's a fellow production music composer, and he is the chair over the project and portfolio courses at Full Sail. And it was tough. It was tough because there was a big announcement this week that if I was still department chair, I would have known about. And I found myself, when that big announcement came out, I'm like, oh, I'm hearing about it alongside everybody else. And while that was bittersweet, what I have noticed is in the past few months, as I've been scaling back on my department chair duties, I've seen an inverse increase in my productivity and my output. Yep. So a hard decision. It was a hard conversation to have, and it was not done lightly. But for my mental health, for the health of me as a composer, for the health of me as a teacher at Full Sail. Because what I do here directly informs what I teach at Full Sail. I teach production and library music every month. The cue that I played earlier was a cue put together as a demonstration for Full Sail students. And so, yeah, sometimes some things that aren't yours to do, you just need to release it, trust that the universe is in control, and let it go. You have other folks kind of chiming in with that. And Ms. Juju Beats asks, and this is going to be the last question because I could go on and on. I love this stuff. I was wondering how I manage my time between 52 cues, Full Sail, composing, and my home life. It's not always in balance, to be honest, and sometimes plates get dropped, and that's okay. I have learned to be kind to myself and forgive myself, and ask for forgiveness when needed, and take a really sobering look at what's working and what's not. For example, being a department chair wasn't sustainable. Did it for 2 years, just was not sustainable. Looking at things in 52 cues, we have these initiatives that we roll out, and we're like, this is a good idea. But at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. Like some features, which I think are really, really good ideas, like Publisher Spotlight, like the Production Music Almanac. The idea of writing an ebook chapter every month and posting it up there, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, right? And so we're just making a shift. And I have found that when I make that shift and I do right by me, and right by the universe, and honor what I can and am to do, then what comes in its place is usually better. Things like the Sync Accelerator that came out of a place of finally releasing things like the Publisher Spotlight. Making some other shifts, which we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks in the year-end wrap-up. And we look forward and what's changing in 2026. Excellent. Well, folks, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me today here live for Live Office Hours. Now, like I said, starting next week at 12 o'clock Eastern, for all of you folks in the general community at 52 Cues, you don't have to be a family, friends, or neighbor subscribers. You can join us. And see everything that we do, whether it's office hours, workshops, feedback sessions, Sync Accelerator feedback, live streams. It's all happening next week, and it is free for all members of the 52 Cues community, and we would love to have you. As always, a huge word of thanks to our family, friends, and neighbor subscribers of 52 Cues who pay their actual real-life money to keep all of this happening. This would not be possible without you, and just know that I love and appreciate all of you. But that is going to do it for me this week. I hope you've had a good week. And a huge shout out to everybody who joined us on the podcast today. Really appreciate you. Whether it's Miss Juju Beats, Eric, Charles, Nigel, Super Blonde, Jesse, GLTG. I know I'm gonna miss people. Fantastic conversation. Really do appreciate you, and know that 2025 has been amazing, and I am trusting that 2026 is going to be amazing. How do I know that? Because I trust and believe that the universe, the entire universe, has amazing plans just for you. Until next time, everybody, peace.